We'd like to sincerely thank our Patreon supporters.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I am standing in the Reptile room, and as you know, we have been working to get all the insulation done in here, and I promised to start getting the drywall hung and the shelving and all that straight, and it kind of looked like Mission Impossible. I dove straight into it this morning and moved a massive pile of tools and construction supplies onto piles out here. Powell tools on the table over there have made a mess of the shop, but it is exciting to see stuff getting done. I have stripped all the shelving bare, and the last thing I need to do before I say last thing before we start hanging drywall, there's actually quite a bit more to finish. This electrical right here all runs on one circuit. It feeds these outlets that are in this PVC conduit, and then this runs to the switches for the lighting in the shop. I want all this recessed in the wall so it could be a flush cover. I think this box is actually okay. I need to bury the electrical in the wall. This outlet doesn't need to be here. I need to space an outlet from that window the same as I do with this window on this side, and just set that up so they're balanced, and have an outlet up there for that fan. We still haven't done that. Once the drywall gets hung, we'll be able to build the box, and then all this conduit and stuff is gone. It feels so good to get this done. And after talking with Kagan, I think it's going to be easier to just leave this shelf here. Remove this. I'll rebuild all of that. There needs to be one additional shelf in that. And then I have to decide where that cabinet goes. But it's going to make it easier just to hang that drywall sheeting in just one big piece and get it done, mud it in, and then build the shelving over it. But I will work around the lower shelf. It'll be a bit of a pain right there, but really everything underneath will be quite easy. There's going to be stuff like this electrical pop-up. It's going to be a pain. That will be inside of the cabinet, so it won't be so much of a problem. We want it to be clean, neat, and sealed for the animals. All of this shelving up here is going to be removed. We are going to have clean wall up there. And then we can hang reptile posters and things like that. We're going to lose that storage, but we have an attic access right here that doesn't even get used. It's all empty up there. A lot of the stuff on the shelves in here goes in the bar or is dedicated to the 2 trucks that I'm building. I think that a lot is going to come out of this room and into these cabinets. Oh, and the other thing I think we'll do is again, this upper shelf will be gone. I think I'll build a cabinet. I don't know if it's sideways here or sideways right here. And that could be reptile supplies. So maybe we'll lose 4 or 5 foot right there, all the way up, cabinet with shelving, and that could be reptile supplies in there. It's not going to cover all the reptile supplies, but it will cover a bunch of them, so they can at least all be in the same area. And I think the open shelving that will be down here will be our spare bags of mulch, shipping boxes, things like that. That would be the only area that an animal could get into if it got loose in here. Oh, and animal feed. So maybe even spare bags of the chicken feed and stuff like that. I wish this wasn't 2x4 shelving because you waste so much space. Height space that way. With 3/4 plywood, it only needs to be a 2x2. It's plenty strong. Unless you're putting like 200 pounds on the counter. It doesn't need all that thickness. Just overbuilt. All that's going to be gloss white. It's going to look good. In this video, we're going to get to drywall hung. At least half this room. If we can get half of this room drywalled, taped, mudded, spray the knockdown, and paint it, then we could move everything on this half of the room over and then do this half of the room. So I think that's how we're going to have to split it up. With just a rough knockdown, it'll be quite easy. You won't see that I stopped here and painted this side and went to the other side. But it is winter, and we still have our cooler nights. So I still need these animals in the temperature controlled room. And I also have to be smart about whatever products I use in here aren't bad for the animals. If I feel like, because even drywall mud can throw off fumes, is too much, I will pull the kayaks out of the house garage, move the thermostat, heater, and all the snakes will go into the house garage where there are no fumes, and have them in there for the duration when we do them. So we will definitely think about that. Yeah, because drywall mud can kick off fumes. Nothing to it but to do it. I'm going to start working on the electrical while I have plenty of sunlight and I have that bright lighting in here, and get that done. And then it's tearing off those upper shelves, and those upper shelves well into this corner here, wherever I find a stopping point. Just get all those upper shelves done. All right, guys, now it's the afternoon, and I have all the electrical done. I think I still had some other stuff to move that took me a little bit longer, but now the electrical will all be buried in the walls, all to the outlets. The switches are all set up. That gray conduit is buried in the wall. It may surface up there, but I could be a little creative and clean with the drywall and still make it clean. It is just a snake room. If it was a house or something, obviously more stuff would have to be changed, but it's totally fine. And it'll be really nice to have this thermostat later mounted up here on the wall for the heating and cooling. And it could be really nice and clean. But I think we're good for today. I am going to go get the boat ready so we can go fishing tomorrow. And the next day worked, all shelving down. And I think I'll pre-purchase the drywall and we'll start putting some drywall up. All right, guys, it's the next day. And we did not go fishing. Kagan was feeling a little tired, probably from doing too much on the property. So I just jumped in here this morning and got the rest of that shelving down on this side, the two upper shelves, and then the shelf that wraps all the way around. And remember, this shelf is
Whoa.
The inspector's in here. What do you think?
Holy cow.
How much bigger does the room look?
Oh, it looks huge.
And when it has clean walls, nice white paint, and white cabinets, the room's going to stay looking large. You forget how tall the ceiling is in here. It's like 10.5-foot ceiling. It's a big room. So next step is to start hanging the drywall. I do have some electrical to bury in the wall when we start on this side. Just, I think 1, 2, and I should run an outlet over to that side. So I would say 3 outlets that will have to get in the wall. But that's when we do the other half. Now, Kagan was making a good point that maybe we'll just get the drywall hung on this side and then move the animals into the garage. That way we tape in mud, paint one time, do the textured surface on the drywall. I'm going to do a textured surface, not because I prefer it. Honestly, I would rather keep a smooth wall clean, but it's easier. Less finishing for the drywall. I can do 2 coats of mud on it and then spray a texture and kind of hide the fact that I didn't finish the mud. I don't want to spend the time finishing the mud to a finished product, but I could put a light like orange peel texture on it and hide the fact that I didn't spend as much time recoating and sanding and just get it done, get to the finished product sooner. Kagan and I also discussed that this lighting is not going to be sufficient enough, although making the room white may make it better, but we could always change the ballast in that fixture and go to LED instead of the regular fluorescence and get much brighter, better lighting in here. But I feel good about it. Next step, like I said, I don't know how many sheets of drywall my little Toyota can carry. I do have a large flat trailer, but we have Kagan's truck on it to get it to the paint shop, which is happening, I think, within a week. Oh, wow. That is a big ball python. Is that the one that had the shed that I had shown in a past video?
Oh, no, it's a different one, actually. But yeah, she's a big girl.
You know, when you think of ball pythons, you don't think of large snakes, but that's a nice size snake.
Yeah.
That really is. It's like the size of a nice sized blood python, really.
Yeah. And she's thick.
Awesome. Yeah, and she can't wait to show off the snakes once this room is done. And that's really it, is you kind of, I mean, they're in larger enclosures and stuff like that, but we didn't feel comfortable showing them when this room was looking like a dumping ground for tools and supplies and stuff. And there's only so much we can do in a week. In fact, this project's going to take us probably 2 solid weeks at least by the time we get paint, baseboards. And that's not even talking about finishing the cabinets and stuff. I probably will get the stuff on the shelving and do the cabinets a little bit later, and get back to some other winter projects that I need to get done outside. But oh, she's pulling out another snake. Yeah. And are these snakes that are for sale, or are these your keepers?
These are my keepers.
These are your keepers. All right, but there are a whole bunch of snakes that you're going to start showing off on the channel.
I think we'll probably do a dedicated video that you're
looking to sell and shrink your snake collection, or change what is in your snake collection.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've gone over it in the channel that most of your collection was large retics, and you had to get rid of that to move down to Florida, and it kind of left a hole in your heart. I hope that the monitors and iguanas are somewhat filling.
They are.
But still, I understand when you have a project that you've dedicated so much money and time and effort into, to just wipe your hands of it right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And that's not easy.
No.
But so there's other snakes. So what are the snakes? Can we ask you? What are the snakes that you're looking to move into the future?
Oh, I would love. I think I've mentioned it before. Timor pythons. So, reticulated pythons and Timor pythons are both Malayo pythons, and they're very similar in terms of like behavior. Timor pythons are just smaller. Obviously, they don't get nearly as big as retics, but they kind of have that same facial feature. I think they have about the same personalities. They're very inquisitive, really cool. I'd love to get into those. And I think Crebos are pretty cool. I think seeing Lawson's really awesome Crebo made me kind of want a Crebo. So that'll be neat.
Awesome. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna work on the boat. I'm actually gonna rehook up the thermostat and the heater in here and close the room back up, let it get back to snake room temperature, and work on the boat a little bit. There's a couple little things I want to finish on that, and I got a really bad crick in my neck, so I kind of don't want to be lifting sheets of drywall yet. Man, I have a pain on one of my discs, probably just from throwing the sledgehammer and pry bar and all that stuff standing on a ladder. Just pulled something funny, but I'm gonna give that a break, and I don't know, maybe this afternoon or maybe tomorrow after fishing. I don't know. We're gonna get next working day. This is what we're doing. We're hanging drywall, and it's gonna look massively different with that on the walls. And it's yet again the next day. It's actually well after lunch the next day. We had something else to do. It's Sunday morning, but we did have work-related stuff to do the first half of this day. The other night, I did exactly what I said and went and purchased all the drywall. Here's all the sheets of the 1/2-inch regular drywall, 8-foot-long sheets, and this is a little sliver of that green board. It is green in color, and it's more water-resistant. After doing some final measuring before we went to Home Depot, this wall is actually 10'4". So I wasn't able to do a 2-foot piece and then a full sheet of the regular drywall, because then I would have had 4 inches up top. So I had to cut them into thirds. So one sheet would do this one 12-foot wall. That sheet was best laid out there. I mean, obviously your 4 foot has to meet halfway on a 2x4 here and halfway on a 2x4 here. So you got to figure out your wall. It was offset a little bit. Once we move the snake enclosures, I'll have a little sliver on that side to finish. But I wanted to get the green board done first. Obviously, the regular drywall sits on top of it, but also I have all that drywall sitting on some sawhorses. Not ideal for the amount of weight that's sitting on it. So I wanted to hurry up and just get some sheets cut and roughly hung. And I came in here that night to hang the green board, and I was going to start filming with you guys, and I was going to film into the night. It was 80 something degrees in here, and Kagan said, "Why is the heater unplugged?" And I was already too hot working. She wanted it a little warmer for her snakes, and I wanted it cooler to work in here. So what we're going to do today, she's out doing waters right now. Middle of the day, it's warm inside and out. We're going to reconvene once she's done. So I'm just going to hang what I can until she's done. And then we're going to move all of the snakes into our insulated house garage, move our kayaks, and jam them into whatever shop space I can. Hopefully I'll be able to rip through that pile. I think there's 10 sheets of drywall there. I can do, even if I tack them up, I can do as many of the upper sheets as I can, burn through that, put the kayaks in the shop so they're somewhat safe, and then I'll have this whole room empty, and we're going to get all this drywall hung. So it's going to be a lot of stuff to move this afternoon, but I think it's going to work out better. I'll be able to do this whole room to finish, and when it's done, and it's going to be awesome. And what we did the first half of the day is going to be another video, but something very, very cool. So I'm sniffling from all the dust. I'm going to get some of those sheets hung, and then I'll check in with you guys. I did finish most all the green board underneath there. Some of the 2-foot sheets, these were only 15.5 under there. So that's my Toyota, I think I mentioned earlier, can only carry so much weight in the bed, and the flat trailer had Kagan's truck on it. So otherwise I'd be able to buy all the material for this entire job. But hopefully by tonight we could run back out and grab tomorrow's drywall. So let's get the rest of today's hung. Sheets are getting hung. I'm not using a drywall screw gun specifically that just stays high RPMs and just shoots them in. I'm doing them screw by screw because it's not that big of a project. It's not even worth pulling out the better tool, but I'm still screwing this last board right here. So we got around the electrical box. It'll get all mudded in, clean to it. That's ready for cover plate. And now it's time to get past this window. I think we'll be able to get all these uppers and maybe go back and finish this corner and maybe get some of the drywall pieces in there. I don't know. Maybe we'll wait to the end of the project, because maybe on the other side we end up with some scraps that fit that perfectly instead of cutting up full sheets. That's actually probably smarter. We're not moving the enclosures until tomorrow afternoon. So I just got to rip through all the full sheets, probably put less screws in them, and just get them off the sawhorses, because I need to plug the heater back in for this room tonight. And I probably have another hour before the temperature starts dropping, and I need to get it plugged back in. So I'm going to try and rip through it. I'll either give you guys an update this afternoon or first thing tomorrow. And I am back in that reptile room. Everything's hung on that wall, minus some little pieces I need to fill in under the shelving. But the big thing was yesterday afternoon, until well into dark, Kagan and I moved all of her snakes into the house garage and set them up for a good temperature in there. So now I'm pulling apart that upper shelving, which is not going back up. We're going to see the full height of this room, be able to hang posters and pictures and stuff like that up there and make this a really cool room. So I'm going to dismantle this shelving. I just put this shelving up, 3-4 months ago to have more storage in here. And now I'm taking it right back down. The good thing is all of that shelving was nailed together from the original owners. This that I put up is all screwed, so I can easily unscrew it and take it down. it'll come down a lot easier. And then it's just some straight 8-foot pieces of insulation on that new bag we bought. Put those in, and then I need to bury this electrical into outlet boxes. This conduit can transition straight into a box. It could actually pitch over straight into a box in the wall, and then everything else can be indoor wire that's drilled through the studs, and it'll all be hidden by the drywall. So awesome. I'm just gonna get to it. I can only get a little bit done this morning, and we have some friends coming over. A friend's grandson is in town, and he's going to bring him over to see some of the animals. And then I have to ship some animals out this afternoon. Not complaining about that, but it is a distraction from getting the work done. I think my next run to Home Depot is going to be 14 sheets of drywall, and that will finish the entire room. So I'm going to try and see what I can't get done. Lugging away in this room, have everything removed from this side of the room. I've hung the green board 32 inches up. This is the last thing I have to demo. Kagan and I just emptied all the rest of the stuff we pulled out of the room from this side to the other, and now we've just removed it from the room. I'll demo this shelving. I'll finish the green board. I think I told you guys I'm going to do a little extra green board because we do have some plumbing that penetrates the wall from a little wash sink here. This will later get a nicer vanity and probably upper cabinet for storage and whatnot. So we can keep our hands clean. I finished all the electric on this wall. So all the electric's buried in the wall and everything. Yeah, my goal is to get the rest of the drywall hung today. I think last we filmed, I was getting the other 14 sheets. I think I still have 9 on the stack right here. That's what's going to finish up the room. So I'm going to get to it. And yeah, if we can get the rest of this hung today, that would be awesome. And then start our day taping and mudding and sealing all this up. That'll give us a better finished product and seal from insects, roaches, things like that. Yeah, I'm going to get to it. Okay, next day again. And we're back in the room. And I thought yesterday was going to be a quick day, but I was out here till pretty dang late at night finishing the low boards underneath here and the little slivers above and getting around any of the electrical and stuff and the plumbing in the corner. So we've got everything taped in, we've got everything hung, and now we need to start taping the seams and then mudding over the seams. The edge of a drywall has a little depression to allow for a layer of mud to make a good seam, to make these 2 sheets 1 sheet. You can use paper tape or you can use mesh tape. I prefer the mesh tape. It's self-adhesive. Paper tape's old school. I like the mesh. I think it works great. And I can actually have Kagan go ahead of me and start doing all the mesh. Now, for the drywall mud, we're using lightweight drywall mud. There's all sorts of different types that you can use. I say tops because it used to be green top, blue top, yellow top, but I don't even know the products they carry anymore. I didn't recognize any of them, but I got a lightweight mud, and the mud out of the bucket is gonna be very thick. We're gonna open this up. Yeah, my hands were hurting from all the moving the sheets around and the screw gun and everything. Alright, so the mud is thick. It needs to be mixed and maybe some water added to it because it may not look like a lot, but if you figure every seam, every cross seam, every screw head has to have mud drug across it. That's a lot to do in this room, and it will wear you out dragging that knife with the mud. If you mix it up and you get it nice and smooth and maybe just a little bit thinner, everything's gonna go a little bit better. They say it's a little slower to dry when you add a little water to it, but I mean, we're not gonna recoat until I think the day after tomorrow. We're only gonna do 2 coats and then we're gonna do a texture on the wall. So let's clean off our knife. slowly add water to it. We don't want too much in there. You don't want to lift that paddle up too high because mud will fly everywhere. Get that little thicker stuff up top into the middle. There we go. And then definitely add some more water.
It's pretty awesome how it's changed the consistency.
So all those little lumps that are different consistency, you see the little lumps, like if you were making cake or pancakes or something like that, when you drag your knife over the drywall mud, the stuff that's mixed well will smooth perfect, and then the lumps will create these little drags in your finish. And you know, the key to doing this is to do it better and less coats otherwise, because every coat requires maybe some sanding and then a recoat, and that's a lot. You don't want to cost yourself extra coats on one of these jobs. By putting that in the water, it holds the weight up of the drill, adds the counterweight so it doesn't fall over, but it also keeps that wet so I can clean my tools once at the end of the job. So we're just going to show you a quick section. Man, I can't speak today, can I?
It's all that sneezing you did last night.
Probably.
Rattled your brain around a little bit.
We don't want that to not be covered and skin over and dry a little bit, because that will create lumps in the drywall also. But we're just gonna do a quick section. So, coat 1, we can do with the 6-inch knife. I haven't mudded in a while. By the end of this job, I'll be fast again. If you remove those edges, then you have less to sand. But that's all you want to do, is you want to bury that tape with the mud. Now it's even. It's filling that depression. Now these cross seams right here, there is no depression. So these are gonna stick out. So we'll do a 6-inch over that seam, but then we'll have to do a 12-inch from here to the seam, here to the seam. So this will be much bigger. But at the end of the day, we're gonna cover all of this with the texture, and it's gonna hide absolutely everything. So today, we just want to mud the tape to the walls. That's all I have to do for those seams today. And then obviously, every screw head, that's probably the fun part, the quick part of covering all the screw heads. I can see already, Pagan's like, can I do that?
Why does that look so satisfying?
Oh, it is, absolutely. So I think I'm gonna get you on taping, and I will just plug away and mud all this up.
Cool.
All right, this first coat done in here, guys, looks drastically different. When we do second coat, we will push mud up in that crack. I might even do that before I do second coat. Push mud in that upper crack all the way around the room. Seal that off. It will re-crack because there's no tape there, but because it's a wood ceiling, what I'll do later after I do it, before we paint, is I will caulk that also over the mud, and the paintable good elastomeric caulk will actually kind of glue the surface of that drywall to the ceiling, and that's all getting painted the same color. We're gonna go with like a semi-gloss or something in here that's super easy to clean. Although we're gonna put a texture on the wall, which is not that easy to clean, but it's less coats of mud and less finishing for us, so we can get this project done sooner. How was it?
Fun.
It was fun. It was fun. It's one of those projects, like when you get into, like, you get to see your finished project. I am not gonna bore you with second coat. We're gonna pick up after all that's done, and when we're ready to spray the texture on the ceiling. We're gonna have to tape everything off to do that. And then that will have to dry for a day, and then we're good to paint. All right, guys, I'm in the Reptile room, and everything's got 2 coats on it, and I've sanded the couple things I need to sand. I don't have to go crazy sanding since I'm gonna spray a texture on it. I've taped off just 2 inches. I'm gonna get overspray on the ceiling, but it's okay. I can quickly scuff that and take the drywall mud off the ceiling. I've roughly taped and papered the doors, the window, the fan. It's okay if I get just a little sponge. This stuff needs to be cleaned anyway. Then this will be trimmed out. There's gonna be trim here. So everything's ready to go. A little tape over the outlets. We're only gonna spray till right about here on the wall. I don't need to spray where the cabinet is gonna be. We'll paint it and seal it in, but there was no need to sand or anything. We've buried the tape. It's totally fine. And I'll probably still spray a texture down there and down there, wherever the cabinets are not gonna be. And then we'll start just a little bit off the wall and spray that texture. It's not gonna look amazing when I spray the texture. You're still gonna see the green board through it. You're gonna see the tape seams. It really doesn't come to a finished product until you paint it. And to paint it, I'm gonna have to sand all that stuff off the ceiling and sand down the door frames or sponge them off. And then we are gonna have to paint with a PVA primer, which seals all the dust in on the walls before we put the actual paint. So it acts like a very thin primer, but it's also kind of like a glue. So when you paint fresh drywall and you don't use a primer like that, you're basically painting over dust, and your paint can separate from the walls later, even if it's a paint and primer. Some primers have really good adhesion, but if you're only adhering to loose dust, then technically you're not adhering to anything really, and your product can separate from the wall, your paint. I've already mixed up one of these buckets, but then we had to leave. Kagan had a surprise for us. Let's see if I can show you guys. I know you want time lapse, but if I did a time lapse, I'd probably get drywall mud sprayed all over my camera. So that's what the mud looks like before mixed. That's mixed. I will probably add just a little bit more water to it and mix it again. I'll probably mix both of those. And then I have a large stand-up compressor I borrowed from a buddy because I don't have a large one anymore. And I'm gonna hook it up with a hose to this gun, puts air pressure through here. You adjust the amount of air flowing. The mud is in the funnel or hopper, and then you spray the trigger and it's gonna spray that texture on the wall. I know you guys really wanna see that, but again, this is my brand new camera and I probably don't want the drywall mud on it. So And this is gonna be messy. The stuff sprays all over the place and it's in the air. I'll be covered in it. So I'm just gonna get to it. It's 3:15. I want this project sprayed so tomorrow I can pull the tape down, sand, and man, I would love to get this whole room painted tomorrow. That's my goal. So, because I want to get the animals back in here, the stuff out of my garage. I want to start getting stuff back together. So let's get to it.
So we got most of the wall texture on. This is what it looks like. You guys saw the short clip of Jerry spraying it on the wall as it was going on. And then Jerry was like, hey, so there's this extra step that I could take that is taking that texture and kind of flattening it out. He's like, do you like the look of it? I'll do it on a sample section. And he showed it to me. And I was like, oh yeah, I like the look of that. And he was like, okay. So this is what he's doing now.
Knocking it down. It's called knockdown.
Knockdown. It's a labor of love. But it looks great. This looks so incredible. I hope that the camera picks it up because it is just, it looks amazing. And I was giving Jerry compliments to his skills that he knows how to do all this stuff and how amazing it is.
All right, guys, I've been in the room painting all day. Kagan only saw me starting the ceiling primer, but we primed the ceiling with an oil-based stain blocking primer, the PVA primer on the walls, a coat of paint on the ceiling. One did it good enough, and 2 coats of paint on the walls. There's still a little bit of cut in to do, and I've got to do the door trim, the doors, the baseboard, stuff like that. But we're gonna finish the video here. We're gonna run in and get Kagan, and you guys are gonna get to see her reaction looking at the room somewhat finished for the first time. All right, we're in the room. Come on in, Kagan. Very echoey.
Opening a present?
You kind of are.
Holy cow. Whoa!
All right, guys.
Oh my god.
If you guys remember this dungeon.
Wow.
Now,
Jerry.
I did not need to paint or texture because the cabinets are going here, are gonna get built in. I put primer on this, but this will all get filled and smoothed, trim, but it's gonna need to be trimmed out to the cabinet, the window casing, the trim for the fan. But
This is insane.
I showed Kagan some pictures and then she came out and looked that the ceiling, you know, it was a white ceiling, but when you look at a picture of what it looked like before and you put the primer on, and then I even took a picture from the primer to the paint, it still looked yellow. So this ceiling was like brown. The whole room was literally the color of this door. And even painting the doors are gonna brighten up the room. But once I do the trim and caulk that in, we'll scuff the doors up and paint them nice. It should be dry.
Wow. Look how cool. Oh, it was the right choice doing
Yeah, and
it.
if you guys can see the knockdown, basically it flattens out the top of those splatters. I don't know if you guys are seeing it in the reflections. It is going to be a texture when something is on the wall to clean, but it's a satin paint and it's a lifetime washable paint. So we'll be able to clean and scrub whatever out of it. Little 409. I think we're going to end it here, guys. I think the next time you see this room, all that trim stuff's gonna be done. The cabinets will be at least framed out. We'll have the baseboard, the floor painted, and we'll be moving stuff in here. And you guys will get to see the initial setup of the room and some of the animals. And you know, once the bulk of the painting's done, I'm gonna have to steadily run that fan because the paint will be off gassing, and we don't want any fumes in here with animals. So, gosh, the faster I go to get to the cabinetry, and if I don't get the cabinetry done when we want to move animals in, there are special paints that don't release any fumes. I could source a paint like that and just paint the cabinets with that if I have to.
This is amazing. It
Very
really,
cool.
really is. It's so cool.
Don't worry, it's not your Christmas present. It's just today's.
It could be. It really could be.
It's just today's present. Oh, also guys, I changed the fluorescent lights to LED lights, and I could change, I think, from 4 different colors. That's the one I think suits the room the best. There are covers that go over it, but I want to trim them out first. I still got to trim around the pipes and stuff, and the top of the ceiling. I think I painted the trim there and then ran out what was in my tray. And it's already dark outside, so I'm not gonna pour more paint. I'm done.
That celebratory beer.
Oh yeah, that sounds really good. All right, guys, thank you for joining us on this little adventure. I promise some animal content on the next video. That's it. Don't forget to like, share, comment, hype, subscribe. There's too many things. Maybe we need just a little thing that pops up and tells you all this garbage, because I can't remember it all. We'll see you next time.